Welcome back to Cover Your Assets, Financial Tactics for the 21st Century. And you might be thinking, wow, TMI. Well, that's why we're here every single week with Jason and Derek Walgrave, Todd Rooker, and Craig Nestor. There is a lot of information in the new now that we talk about so much. So that's why you need to go to coveryourassets21.com and check out the Financial Crisis Bible. If you're in one, maybe if you're not in one, keep yourself from going there. That's always available to you. And we also have a free seminar giveaway, which will give you the opportunity to get the Cover Your Assets team to maybe your next sales meeting, fundraiser, church group, something like that. 855-835-8500. So Todd Rooker, great guest. Scott Letourneau, very interesting.
Scott's amazing. And, it's interesting because when you think about business credit and personal credit, whenever somebody goes through a financial crisis or wants to avoid one or wants to be in a stronger position in the future, the way that you look at that and the measuring stick is how you qualify for financing in the future. So when a person goes through a personal credit or financial issue and they say, well, how long will it take me to recover? What they're really asking is how long until I can qualify for financing in the future. So what you look at is you perceive them as they are now and as a bank might look at them in terms of qualifying for financing, understanding the underwriting guidelines in the future, and you try or attempt to morph them into that. So if a person has to wait 3 years before they can get financing at the end of their short sale or their bankruptcy, or it's 2 years or whatever the particular timeline is, you say, all right, we got 2 years to turn you into this so that you can qualify for financing. Interesting thing is that people will stop using credit altogether, believing that, let's say, credit cards were the nemesis or the problem in the first place. 3 years later, having gone through a major financial crisis, they've not missed a single payment in their lives. However, every payment that they've made has not been reporting to the credit reporting agencies, and their credit is no better than it was 3 years ago. In terms of credit, in the way that Scott was talking, you've got to recognize that by simply incorporating a business does not mean that your information or your vendors or any payment or trade history is being reported to those entities that Scott just described. You've actually got to subscribe and become a member of those services, say Dun & Bradstreet, so you can create a profile. So if your business is starting today, you don't wait 3 years to start. If you want financing 2 or 3 years from now, you need to develop that profile today. So within 3 years, you've now got a strong pay profile, which is called a Paydex score, and that will enable you to qualify for financing. So the time to concern yourself with it is not after everything starts going and things are doing well. You do it right now. And that's what I meant by the business planning and the business model. Even though you got no money, you need to be thinking about this and not taking those dollars that you think are profits, but in fact are necessary dollars that must be invested into those things so you can build and develop your business.
And you said something very prescient in the last segment, Todd. You talked about just because somebody's good at a trade or some sort of a specialty doesn't mean they're going to necessarily be a great business owner automatically.
When people create a business, they are a lot of small business owners, I don't know, a contractor, a mechanic, a CPA, whatever the case may be, they tend to believe that if I'm good at the work of the business, then that invariably means I should just logically progress to a point where I'm a business owner. You've got to think about your business as being an entirely separate entity that pulls up a chair at the table. So let's say in a closely held corporation, you and your wife are 50-50 partners. And as a mechanic, you're doing really well. So your business, you're taking K1 distributions or owner draws to the tune of $150,000 a year, and you're a mechanic. So your business is in fact an actual separate entity who pulls up the chair at the table and looks across the table at you and says, why in the world, when the oxygen to build and grow the business is the cash flow, why in the world are we paying you $150,000 when we get somebody else to come in and be a mechanic, do what you do for $50,000, and the business would have $100,000 to expand? People never think of it that way.
No.
And they commingle their personal finances. They're in a hurry on their way to work, and on their way to work, all they have in their back pocket is the checkbook from the business. They write a check to their, pay their personal their natural gas bill. Then something goes wrong. Well, let me tell you what. The minute that you commingle your personal finances with business finances, you hit me on the road and you think your business and your personal stuff is separate, immediately the attorney's going to want to look at your bank records from your business and your personal. And if you have written a check for personal expenses, you have commingled funds, and every protection afforded a corporation goes right out the window, and it's now all on the line.
See, commingling, that does sound rather filthy.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it. 855-835-8500. It's 855-835-8500 to join the experts now. Now, in the general scope of our Cover Your Assets conversation today, and coveryourassets21.com to visit us there, we're talking about the 4 things you absolutely must do during a financial crisis. And I love this one. Know the terrain is number 3, and it may be something like a short sale, getting one of the Walgraves to help you. What does that mean, Craig?
Know the terrain means you must know the lay of the land when you create a comprehensive plan. The government is neither your savior nor your enemy. I think the fundamental flaw from the beginning was presuming the people who caused the... Can you help me with this? Can someone help me out? Presuming.
Yeah.
The people who caused the mortgage crisis were somehow going to act in the public interest and come up with a comprehensive plan to save us. So we have to know the government is not on your side, and the banks have already been bailed out. So this is no longer a banking crisis. The banks received their bailout money from U.S. taxpayer dollars. They now are profitable on the profits realized from foreclosure. This is no longer a bank crisis. It's a homeowner crisis, and the banks and the government aren't coming to rescue you. So we really have to understand that when we build our plan.
And I think that, going to bed at night, you need to know what you're involved in and the worst case scenario. I believe that when people are laying awake at night looking at the ceiling, not knowing what's going to happen next, that is the most distressing thing that they can be going through. And literally, I think that's what puts a person in the ground early. If I know the worst case scenario, I know how bad it's going to be, and it doesn't scare me, and I can make a decision, even if it is the lesser of evils. Option 1, 2, and 3, frankly, in a perfect world, they all suck. I'd rather not take any of them if I had the choice.
I hate how you keep everything so far deep down inside, Todd.
All bottled up.
Jeez.
But here's the thing. If I can pick the lesser of evils, because I know the ultimate outcome and I know the worst case scenario, then I choose the path. And I am now back in control, making decisions. My posture will entirely change, and now I'm in control, no longer feeling like the world is coming at me and I've got no control. It changes everything. So as Craig is saying, know the lay of the land, know the worst thing that can happen, the implications, the time it takes to recover. And look, I'm a smart person. If I know those things, I can make a decision. But if I don't know those things, I'll be stymied and stuck, and I won't know what to do next. And that's where the stress comes.
Yeah.
The 4 things you absolutely must do during a financial crisis. Number 1 is go on the offense. Do not wait. Do not react. We need a comprehensive plan that we're going to roll out. 2, protect the dry powder. We're going to need an emergency cash fund. If that number's 5 or 7,000, depending on this. But I have seen where a hot water heater or a transmission in a car can throw somebody off of 10 years of mortgage history.
Yeah.
So 1, go on the offense, protect your dry powder, know the terrain, and lastly, strengthen your relationships. I think a lot of times when we're in these spots, it is a lot of staring at the ceiling. There is a lot of worry, and we're spending the time doing that. Take that time and invest it in the people around you. Jason?
Yeah, you need to take a look at the experts that you have around you, and when you talk about your transmission in your car, I'm not an expert on vehicles. I don't even know that I could change the oil. But Derek and I are experts in real estate. People come to us for that advice. They know that we're going to give them the most current, up-to-date information. Excuse me, on helping them sell their home. And if it's a short sale, then that's something we can navigate through.
It's an important group of experts today in the New Now, which is what we're going to be talking about every week here on The Patriot. And Craig, you are Minnesota Home Rescue Team, mnhomerescueteam.org. Talk about it.
Couples who come to us, they initially look weary. And once we get them on a plan, and Todd can speak to this, they begin to gain momentum from accomplishing things. We're pushing towards a light at the end of the tunnel. Once their backs are against the wall and they start working together a little bit, they actually remembered why they married each other. We see these as a very unforgiving economy. It's not getting better, but American families are getting stronger and smarter. I see unemployed dads trying to reinvent themselves and create wealth and working on becoming a better dad and also a better husband. I see families turning to the church and using these lowest moments in their lives to help other people. A lot of times we can help up when we're down, and that actually contributes a lot to the quality of life that we're currently in.
Well, and Craig, you've helped over 100 families in the last year, and that's something that is, we're impressed with, and you continue to move forward doing that.
Thank you, Jason.
And Todd Ricker also, you get exclusive access to him every week, which is something that doesn't come cheap in the real world outside of radio. Todd Ricker, you can reach at toddhelp.com. We've got Jason and Derek Walgrave with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and of course, Craig Nestor, homerescueteam.org. Guys, an hour is never going to be enough. That's why we're going to be back next week. Yeah?
Absolutely.
And talk more about businesses protecting your own personal finances and all of those things. Now, remember, the Financial Crisis Bible, very, very important. Everybody, whether you're in a crisis or not, go to coveryourassets21.com. That's coveryourassets21.com. And realize that you have access to this team. They can come to your sales meeting, possibly your church, a fundraiser. So log on to coveryourassets21.com and tap in, right?
See you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Happy Saturday.